Hello guys, welcome to the Code Patch. My name is Nick and this is your fourth C++ programming tutorial. So in the last tutorial I explained to you guys what are variables and what are data types, and we did some math here. We calculated something and we printed it out on the screen. So in this tutorial I'm going to show you guys another function from this IO stream, alright? Cin function. So let me just show you how it works. So for example, we want to create a program, alright? Your boss asks you to create a program to calculate an area of a circle, right? For example. So what do we need to calculate an area of a circle? So first things first, we're going to create a variable of a float, and we're going to say that it's p, right? So why did we choose float? Well, remember that when calculating an area of something, it is usually a float number, so it's usually a decimal number. So that is why we chose float in this situation. And we need another variable, r, which will be our radius of our circle, and we're going to need another variable, and let's just name it pi, all right, which is 3.14. So you remember pi from math. And now let's ask our user to input an radius of a circle, or better, let's first make a formula to calculate an area of a circle. So if you don't remember, let me just open another one. And if you have a circle, all right, so this is the radius of a circle, and we have a area formula, which is radius squared times pi. Alright, so this is the formula for area of a circle. So let's just write that. So we can say r times pi, right? So we can do this, so this will do exactly the same as this square, but there is a function that you can use which is in our math, so you need to include the library. So include cmath. Alright, so in this library there is a function pow, and what this pow does, it takes two parameters. So the first one is your variable, so for example r, and the second is how much power you want to give it. So for example, this is an r squared, and this is an r cubed, and this is an r to the fourth, and so on. So you're basically giving these the power number to your variable, whatever it is. For in this example, it's going to be r. So let's just say that p is equals pow r squared times pi. All right, and let's just say that our radius is 1, so it should be 3.14. Right, so let's just compile and run this. All right, we have a problem. Pi was not, all right, it's not pi, it's like this. And all right, so it didn't print out anything, right? So we first need to print it out on the screen. So let's say area of a circle is p, all right, and let's see what we get. So we do get 3.14 because 1, we said that r is 1, and that 1 came here, so 1 squared is still 1, so it's just time p, so 1 times 3.14 is 3.14. So let's just try with radius of 5. So let me close this and compile and run this, and we get 78 times 5. Alright, so that's it. That's how we calculate an area of a circle, but that is not very fun, right? So let's just make our user input this radius, and based on that input we calculate how much the area of a circle is. So we're going to say, alright, first let's print out a message and say please enter, alright, please enter a radius of a circle. Alright, so let's ask him politely to input a radius, and then we use this cin function, which is written like this. So you can see that at cout we have these arrows to the left, and at cin we have them to the right. So make sure you don't forget to put them on the other side, right? So it's now pointing to the right side, and these ones were pointing to the left side. So we say cin, and then we say in what variable we want to hold whatever our user inputs, and in this case we want to put it into the R or R. So whatever our user input is going to be passed into an R and then later used here. And this cin function basically waits. It stops your program and waits until user inputs something. So let me show you how it works. We compile and run this and say please enter radius of circle, and you see how it's blinking here, and it's basically waiting for us to input something. So let's input 1, and we should get 3.14, right? Now let's input 5 again, and we do get 78.5. So that is basically how we let our user input something, right? So now let's just try and be smart and input something like -5. So we still do get 17.5 because we have a squared, and a negative number times a negative number is a positive number. So in this case it will work, but in some other cases when we don't have a square it won't work. For example, you can have a radius of a minus, right? So it doesn't exist. You can't say that some circle has a radius of -5. So let's just make our user input only those numbers that are greater than 0, right? That are positive numbers. So how do we do that? Well, we use an if statement. Now, if statements, you will use them all the time, basically all the time in the programming. For me, they are most important statement of all. So if statement basically checks if something is true and do something if it is, and if it's not, it can do something else, or it can do nothing, right? So let me show you how this works. So we say if, then we put brackets, and then we put a body of an if. So just like main has its body between these two curly brackets, if has its body here, and here goes the condition. So you put the condition here, and you basically say what you want to check. So in this case we want to check if r is lesser than 0. Alright, so if it is, then we're going to print out radius can be a negative number. Alright, so we're just going to print out that, and here we're going to say if r is greater than 0, alright, then we're going to do all of this. Alright, so now I put all of this in the body of this if, and in this if we have just this, so it just prints out this and ends the program. So let me show you now what I mean. So let me just input first a positive one, and we get that it's 78.5, and then let me just input a negative, and it's going to say alright, so we still get area of circle is 70. I don't know why, let me just fix it. So if r is lesser than 0, alright, I probably didn't compile it first. I did. Interesting. Let me just see. Alright, so I didn't. Alright, this cin must be here, right? So we must first let our user input something, and then we can check it, right? So that was a little bit mistake by me, sorry. So let me just now compile and run this, and it says please enter radius of a circle. We're going to enter 5, and it's going to give us that 78.5, and if we enter -5, it's going to say radius can be a negative number. So that is an if statement. So you basically can check everything, basically everything in this if, and do something if it's true. So this if returns here a true or a false. So for example, if r is greater than 0, it's going to return false here. Alright, so that's it for this tutorial. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.